TitleMatchNetwork.com.
How did you wind up in the AWA?
I was working in Kansas City, and once a month they would have a big show in St. Louis, and the top stars would come from Minneapolis, Dallas, Charlotte, and underneath card would drive from Kansas City to St. Louis, and we'd be the opening matches. So I was there, and I remember I worked with Rufus R. Jones, put him over right in the middle. I did jobs early on. I didn't care. I knew it was fake from the beginning. Some guys have a problem with that even now. But Blackjack Lanza was there, and he came up to me and said, "Hey kid, are you ready to make a move?" And he was working for Minneapolis. He went, "You ready to make a move?" And I went, "No, I'm not ready." And he went, "Everybody's the shits when they start." And I said, "As long as you feel that way, I'm ready to make a move." So he took me to Winnipeg, and they did TV one night, and the next night was a house show. And in fact, I beat Rick Steiner on TV. I always tease him about that. I beat Rick Steiner on TV in Winnipeg, and the next night I go Broadway, time limit draw with Larry Zbyszko, who I told you earlier,
wow.
sitting in my room. Now, Larry's a huge star. And back in the day, we used to play, when you're on these old long trips, they used to play this thing called the wrestling name game. Like, you guys are too young. But
no, I played that.
It used to be the thing where, you'd say, like, the guy would say Lenny Lane, and it'd be L-U, and you'd have to go, Larry something or so. And Larry Zbyszko was always my closer, because there's not many guys who started with Z. So I'd have to go, Larry Zbyszko. And then it would be Z to the next guy, and there wasn't many guys, like Z-Man or Zeus, there wasn't many guys.
Yeah.
So I get there, and I'm looking at the lineup at the Winnipeg Arena. Now, I've never been in front of a big crowd before. There's like 15,000 people in Winnipeg Arena. And I look across the thing, and he was the America's champion. And it's Scott Hall versus Larry Zbyszko. I go, oh my God. I said, at least I'm going to do a job for somebody that I've heard of.
Yeah.
So then they tell us they're protecting me because Verne at that time was in Alaska fishing. So I wasn't officially hired, but Lanza was pretty sure I was going to be hired. So they were taking care of me. They were putting me over on TV. I never won a match on TV.
Yeah.
Now I'm going Broadway with Zbyszko. And I tell the story. Me and Larry were just laughing about it. Larry took such good care of me because I was so nervous. And he didn't have to. He could have buried me if he'd wanted to, and I wouldn't even know it. Yeah. He made me look like $1 million. And the thing he did at the end that I think is such a detailed thing and that nobody has ever done before or since that I know of, like when you go on Broadway and the ring announcer's counting 10, 9, and the referee, everybody's working together, and they go, 3, 2, and ding, 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 ding. And every other time I've seen it or I was involved in it prior to that, the babyface always goes like, did I win, or like, what happened? Zbyszko's laying there like this. He calls the whole comeback to me. He goes, okay, grab me by the hair, not too hard. Okay, pull your hand back. Look at the people, not too long. Okay, hit me, not too hard. He calls the whole thing to me. He goes, okay, give me that bulldog thing. Like Lanza gave me bulldog because that was his finish.
Okay.
So I do the bulldog. He goes, okay, do that bulldog thing. Boom. They're counting down 3, 2, 1. Something like that. And Zbyszko's laying there like this, and he goes, now jump up like you won. And that was such detail that I'd never seen anybody do before or since. And I jumped up like, yes! And the people exploded.
Wow.
Because they thought this dude from nowhere beat Larry Zbyszko because he had good heat, and it was just something that I never forgot. And I feel really blessed that as my career went, years later, then when I got to be in the WCW and then the NWO and Larry was an announcer, I got to, like at commercial breaks, I used to shoot angles with Zbyszko. Like we'd get a commercial break and I'd throw my toothpick at Zbyszko, and we'd square off and he's over. Yeah. And I used to tell Bischoff, this guy's a star, man. We can make money with him. And I ended up doing it. He got a few pay-per-views out of the deal. He got some, so.
A lot of the guys that worked in the AWA around that time, they talk about Curt Hennig being a river in the middle of matches and things like that. Do you remember anything like that?
The thing that I always remember about Curt, God rest his soul, is that when I came to Minneapolis, they because I was green as hell, but I looked the part. And now I'm on nationwide TV.
Yeah.
And they put Curt and I together as a tag team, and then we ended up being tag team champs and stuff. And they put Curt with me, and Curt came and picked me up in my apartment, drove me to every town.
Wow.
Talked to me, because I didn't know how to drive on that kind of weather,
Yeah.
And he talked to me about the business all the time and about psychology and how to act in a locker room and how to act around it, taught me everything that his view of the business, which became my view. And Curt had an influence on a lot of guys. Shawn Michaels, me, a kid, like, about the way to do business. Like, if you're going to put a guy over, man, you put him over.
Yeah.
You know, if you're losing, you don't, it's 1, 2, 3, you don't kick out of 3, you lay there for 50. If the guy's good enough to beat you, man, you make him look like $10 million. Like, Curt was the first guy to take bumps and get a reaction from his bumps. You know, instead of just taking a bump, Curt did do whirling twirls and stuff. And Curt was, he was around Mr. Fuji early when he was in the WWF early, and then he came back to me, you know, the AWA. So he was around Mr. Fuji, and Mr. Fuji's legendary master ribber.
Yes.
So Curt was what I learned from Curt was you have to have fun in this business because it's your life. You know, this is our life. We're on the road, we're in hotels, this is our life. And Flair taught me that too. So you can either go, no, we're going to Boise. Or you can go, we're going to Boise, woo! You know, let's go, whoa, we're going to Sioux Falls, yeah! They love me in Sioux Falls. You know, it's your attitude. Because some guys are jacked, or you can be the guys laughing and telling, ooh, you know?
Yeah.
So being around Curt, he was always upbeat and happy, so that helped me a lot. And then having him as a partner, Curt did all the work. Curt did everything. He tagged me, I'd make the comeback, I'd pin the guy.
Yeah.
It got to the point where it was so ridiculous that uneducated fans would go, hey, Hall, get rid of Hennig, man, get a new partner, he's holding you down. and I'd be thinking, you got it wrong, man, he's doing everything. I'd be lost without him, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, and the thing that always stuck in my mind is, this is before the days of guaranteed money, you know? You got paid what you got paid. And so, as far as Curt knew, we were both baby faces. So basically, we're competing for the same job. And he went out of his way to help me. You know, he was driving me around. He was teaching me stuff. He always featured me in matches. He always started the match. Then when he would go to like tag me in, he'd go, "You want me to tag the big man?" and I thought that's the right thing to do. That's why, like, anytime Kev and I ever have a match, I always start.
What memories of the matches you and Curt have with the Long Riders?
Scott Irwin was a superhuman being. God rest his soul. He was a businessman, and he knew that his job was to make me look good because that's what Verne wanted. His brother Bill and I just didn't get along. I can't speak. Well, I'm gonna say it's what I think. I think Bill was one of those guys who felt like, who's this jabroni? He hasn't paid his dues. Some musclehead getting pushed just because he looks good. Mm. So Bill would never shine. He would never. I felt he wasn't doing his job. You know, his brother was bigger and better and would do stuff to make me look great, and Bill would bury me. And I was not smart enough to know what to do about it, but I was smart enough at that point to know what was going on. Plus, I had Curt pointing it out to me. Mm. You know, after we'd be in the car, he'd say, "Now, you know when you did that, you should do this, and you should do that," because it was happening to me, and it was happening to me in big markets in Chicago and, you know, Salt Lake City and stuff like that, where I knew it was wrong, but I didn't know what to do. Now, my instincts would tell me, just punch him in the face.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get that rep as being one of those kind of guys, because then no one wants to do business with you.
Yeah.
But that's my impressions then. I think Scott was super, and I really didn't care for Bill. If I had a company, I would hire Scott, and I wouldn't hire his brother.
What are your memories of Wrestlerock and wrestling Ray Stevens?
Well, I didn't wrestle him at Wrestlerock.
Oh, you didn't wrestle him at Wrestlerock?
Who did we wrestle? I think we wrestled the Long Riders at Wrestlerock.
Was it? Okay.
At Kaminsky Park, Curt, Greg Gagne, and I wrestled Nick, Larry
Maybe that was it.
Kaminsky Park, Curt, Greg Gagne, Greg Rambo Gagne.
I remember that gimmick.
He went to Camp Slaughter. Greg, Curt, and I wrestled Nick Bockwinkel, Larry Zbyszko, and Ray Stevens. So you're talking about, here's three heels who are pros, and they know what their job is. They know, okay, they got two baby faces who can work their asses off from Greg and Curt, and then they got this big goof that the office is pushing. So those guys bing, do their stuff, and then they do the, you know, slam one, the other one feeds me, I do all the old time big man, strong man stuff, you know, top wrist lock, throw the guy off, that kind of stuff. And then they put me over, you know, I win 1, 2, 3, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about legendary heels. I mean, Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson were doing stuff in California in the 60s and 70s that it would be groundbreaking today. I mean, if you were to watch those tapes of stuff they did then, it'd be better than stuff you're seeing on TV right now in 2007.
Wow.
I mean, those guys, Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens were, unbelievable.
Wow. And what are your memories of Nick Bockwinkel back then?
Well, my boy, my memory of Nick is that he used to walk around the locker room with a T-shirt on, his loafers and black socks on it, and naked from the waist down. He'd walk around to you, and he'd be giving you the finish while you're sitting there putting your boots on. He'd have his package in your face, be like, "What the fuck, Nick?" Like, okay, I get it, But no, Nick was an absolute pro. He'd same thing. He knew he had way more talent than me, way more experience. But his job was to put this new green guy over that the office was pushing with. Hopefully someday that everybody would make more money if Scott Hall got over.
Yeah.
So he just taught me stuff, told me, just talk to me calmly in the ring. Calm down, my boy. Okay, just complete, absolute pro.
What do you remember about meeting Verne for the first time?
The main thing I learned about Verne, Verne was a really cool cat. And he was kind of eccentric, and even though he was balding at the time when I met him, Verne was a really charismatic, handsome dude. And the thing I learned from Verne mostly was how to work a room. Because when I went there, I was his guy. They were grooming me to be their top babyface. And I remember traveling to these different functions, because Verne was real big about going to different events and golf tournaments and charity dinners and all these kind of things, and taking one of his boys with him, his figurehead with him. So I was in that role a lot of the time, and it was a real honor to be. But I can remember riding in a car with Verne, and he would be in a bad mood, but when he hit that door, hey, how you doing? Hey, slapping guy, and he taught me that whenever you go any place, it's really important to Verne that the wrestler be the one who's remembered. Because we go to banquets and stuff, there'd be football players, there'd be baseball players, he wanted people to walk out there remembering the wrestler. God, that wrestler was funny. That wrestler was big. He was tough. He was, So I learned the importance of no matter how you feel when you're working. Like a lot of my buddies always give me stuff. They go, "Man, you making all that money? I saw you on TV. You wrestled for 12 minutes." and I go, "Yeah, okay, you're right. But see, what I learned from Verne is you're working the minute you leave your house. Because you walk outside your house, the mailman might walk by and go, "Hey, Razor!" Or, you're in the airport, people, "Hey, Razor, hey, Scott Hall, hey, NWO, woo, Wolfpack," whatever. And you got to go, "Hey, what's up?" You're working the whole time. And I learned that from Verne, the importance of working. People don't want to see Scott Hall, the father, or the regular dude. They want to see Scott Hall, the wrestler. They want to see Razor, the bad guy. When in the airport, or wherever you run into him, they want to see the guy they see on TV.
Yeah.
So you always have to be kind of on. That's what I learned from Verne. He's a smart dude. And another thing too, they wanted to make me their champ, but it was too cold for me up there. I remember I went to Verne and said, "Man, this is your hometown. It ain't mine." I said, "Don't put your belt on me. I don't want it."
Wow.
I said, "I'm going back to Florida." I said, "I'm going to go work for Florida Championship Wrestling," because all I really want. See, another thing I felt about the AWA is they were really fascinated by gimmicks, but they never knew how to create one.
That's a great point.
They had Mad Dog with Sean, and they had Jesse and guys like that, Hulk, who all came in with their own gimmicks. Everybody else was like Steve-O.
Yeah.
I was Big Scott Hall. That was their gimmick for me. Everybody went by their real name. Nobody was a gimmick. I wanted to learn. I grew up watching Florida wrestling. I wanted to be Florida style, with the cool gimmicks and the storylines and the angles and the gimmick matches. And it was just kind of vanilla wrestling in AWA. It was real successful in nationwide, worldwide TV, but it was real black and white. And that wasn't what I was after for my career. And I remember talking to Verne, and I went in and gave my notice. And he couldn't believe it, because nobody left Verne. He couldn't believe it. I said, "Verne, man, this is your hometown. It's not mine. It's too cold here." I said, "I can make $2,000 a week selling suntan lotion on Cocoa Beach."
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to live here anymore. And he goes, "I can make you a star." I said, I don't need to be on TV to feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And I said, Verne, I'm in this for the money. You know, I'm in it for the money. He goes, the money comes later. I said, my bills come every month, right on time. And then when I said that to him, all of a sudden his expression kind of changed. And we started talking like man to man instead of employer to employee.
Sure.
And he went like, I said, how's it feel, Verne? You know, you made it, man. You're a success. He goes, I'm rich. And I said, I know. I want to be rich too. I said, how's it feel? He goes, it feels great. and we started talking, and the whole demeanor, everything changed. Then he started talking to me about, you know, I had this, and you know, I did, and we just started talking like a couple of buddies would talk.
Yeah.
And I said, Verne, I thank you for everything you've done for me. Don't put your belt on me. I'm not staying here. I don't want your belt. Go ahead and put it on whoever you're going to put it on. I don't want it. Thank you for everything you've done. I'll give you my notice. I'll do jobs on the way out. No problem. I'm going to Florida. Thank you for everything. And a lot of people thought that was a stupid move I made. You know, I mean, if I'd have stayed there, I'd have been AWA champion. I still would have been the cowboy look and all that.
Yeah.
In my career, who knows what might have happened. It might have been great. It might have been whatever. You can't look back. But I didn't care. See, there's two times I found, for me, when you have power is when you don't have anything or when you have a lot. Back then, I didn't care. You know, I had a little bit of money in the bank. I had a Corvette, you know. You know, I'm single. I got no responsibilities. I don't care. I got power because I don't care. You know?
Yeah.
So I was like, man, no, thanks. Yeah, you got AWA world champ. No, thanks. I'd rather be Florida state champ.
Wow.
But I mean, they were really good to me. I mean, when I first moved there, he invited me to his house for Thanksgiving dinner. You know, Verne and his family, they're good people. You know, they treated me really good. It just wasn't the right fit for me.
Yeah.
TitleMatchNetwork.com